Ew. Let me start off the truck. Welcome back to the channel, and whoops, I did it again. I bought me another truck. It's pretty nice spec. I'm actually sitting inside. It just got delivered, and I haven't dug into it. Let me show you what we got here. Just give you a little hint. Boom, Rocky Ridge. Let me show you what we got here. What we got here is a 2022 Ram 2500 Rocky Ridge edition. So it comes with all bells and whistles, comes with these fancy wheels, LED lights, Cummins engine, and pretty much all the goodies that come from a Bighorn and partially a Laramie. And all of these are built by Tuscany Motors, the same company that builds Black Ops, Badlanders, and such. So overall, this is what we got. We got filter off, and I'll explain that in a minute. Somebody took that off, which is maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, but let's just finish up walking around. We got a little bit of a damage right here, which is easy fix, not a big deal, not even worried about that. I'll explain myself in a minute. We got taped up window, means it doesn't close up all the way. Nice wheels overall, not the best tires, but nice wheels overall. LED lights lifted, nice massive grille. Let's pop the hood and see what we got here. Oh wow, we got a Ram, Banks Ram, and all that. Goodies, goodies. Whole bunch of little goodies. Let's take a look on the inside. Oh, something's taped up right here. Oh, broken glass. Well, not the most tragic thing. Now, wow, let's check out this interior. This is a good looking interior. Wow. It has a big screen. Has Rocky Ridge actually cluster. Pretty much heated, cooled seats probably. Not cooled, but definitely heated. Got some stuff in the back. Very nice interior, very nice interior. Now, let's get to the damage. When I bought this truck, it was non-running, non-driver, non-driving truck, sight unseen, and yes, it's flooded from Louisiana. Now, when I buy these trucks, sometimes there is a lot of risk involved in these. They could be flooded from possibly a sunroof leak, which in this case we eliminated because we don't have a sunroof. But there's also other factors that contribute to that, meaning somebody got into a pretty deep mud hole or whatever and they try to get out and stuff, and you know, long story short, they got stuck, got a little bit of wet, maybe potentially damaged some things here and there, but nothing too crazy. Now sometimes we could have flooded truck that could have been flooded all the way to the roof. We hope this is not the case, but we got to start with the most obvious things. We gotta possibly connect the power, but before we do all that, let's check the fluids. Let's see the level. Let's see if we can figure out where the level of water is. Every time the water is in the car or in the truck or whatever, knowing that Louisiana does have a salt water, or at least most of the times it's not salt water. At least I don't know. Well, hopefully it's not a salt water. That shouldn't be a big deal. If we find out what the level is, we'll know at least what we're dealing with and how high all the modules could be damaged. First things first, I like to see if there is any power, which, I mean, it's okay if it's not because the batteries could die. Another thing I like to check every time I'm trying to determine the level is like the dirt, the stuff that like usually can't clean out, like the water level. Sometimes the seatbelt will have a little bit of a mold going to a certain level. That means it just got wet to this point, and this is where, you know, the maximum water damage we could possibly have. Any module above that could be okay. Now, oftentimes we could check in this area and see if we have any water sitting under these rubber seals or whatever, glove box. Oh, we got a safe. Oh wow, and we don't have the key. I guess we're gonna have to drill this one out, but that's awesome. So yeah, let's just find out. Let's keep digging and trying to see if we can find a level. I need to pull this off. I don't know why it's not closed. Maybe something got in the way. Possibly pull the dipstick and see if we have any higher oil level, if that makes sense. Oil level is supposed to be a certain level. If there is water inside the engine, the oil level will be higher, and that will tell us that the engine has consumed some water. Let's take a look. Yeah, we can't tell, but it looks like it's actually a little bit higher, so maybe there's water inside the engine. That's nothing crazy if the engine wasn't running. If the engine was running, yeah, we're pretty screwed. And this is what the level looks like after I clean the dipstick. Just slightly above level. So there is water in the engine. If there is water in the engine, there's probably water in the transmission. So that being said, we're not gonna start the truck until, and we're probably not even gonna connect the power. Maybe we will, just to turn the engine over. But until we change the oil and check transmission fluid level, we really cannot safely operate this truck. That's if it starts. And I still haven't found the level yet, so I gotta keep looking. Let's pull the dipstick for the transmission and see if we can find anything in this area. What the heck is this? What the heck? Dodge, what is this? You installed 1 foot long dipstick? How is this gonna reach the transmission? Well, yeah, I don't know what the thought process on that was, but yeah, this is not a real dipstick. This is some kind of plug, so we can't check the level on that. But maybe let me pull this cover off and the other cover, or this tape off, and see what's going on the passenger side. On the passenger side, as soon as I opened the glove box, I could see a little bit of water and stuff, which I kind of didn't see before. Now this is all soaked wet. That just tells us the water level was at least this high. Now if I close this, it's probably this high. Actually, look at this, guys. Can you tell the line? There we go. That is our line. So meaning all the modules down to this point are pretty much toast. We have airbag module underneath, probably done, but we'll still check that. And we have to check, there is a body control module right over there behind the steering wheel. We'll check on that, but as soon as, what we can tell right now is that the screen should be all good. The water didn't get this high. I don't see any water. I see water over here because it's a little dirty, milky, and it looks like a fresh water. Don't see any signs of salt. If this was salt, it would have been like crazy rusty by this time. Now let's pull this. No rust, but a little bit of dirt, so that's good and a bad thing. Now let's go over here on this side. I got some floor mats, rubber floor mat. This is great. I love to see that. This is great. Okay, we got these things, bins, and then these bins do show to have some water in them. This is another sign that the water level was at least this high. Now with this being a freshwater flood, this is wow, check this out. Yeah, we still got water inside. So what I'm gonna do, and this is the most obvious thing I could do, is just taste this water and see if it's salty. Yeah, it's not salty. I tried it. Maybe I need to drink like a cup full just to make sure. But yeah, look at this. This is great news. That means, well, great and bad news. Bad news, we had water damage. Good news, it's not salt water and it's not that high. Let's take a look over here. We got Bose system. Wow, this is great. It's actually looking pretty good. This is not that bad. Let's take a look on the driver's side. Now on the driver's side, we probably have the same thing going on. There we go, look at this. Excellent. There's evidence left behind. That's not a bad thing. Not necessarily. That just gives us a proof that this truck has been flooded, but it wasn't that bad. And that just gives us proof that this wasn't salt water. Yeah, that tasted, I know. Now, the most important thing that we got to consider is that module right underneath over there. Let's check this plug. Not bad, not bad. So this is the plug for the M steps, and I know they've been working. So this is just the deoxidation from sitting and water not being able to go anywhere, drain down. This is what happens. Like, you can clean this, none of this is corroded, but that's yet, meaning if you don't clean this and you don't inspect this and you don't fix the corrosion, like not corrosion but deoxidation on these wires, later on it will create a heat, and the heat could possibly melt one of these contactors. So you want to clean this up with the brake cleaner or electric part cleaner, and this should be fine. I'm pretty sure, because the M steps did work. As you can see, these things went down when the power was connected at the auction. So this is a great sign. Now we need to figure out if the engine is any good. Transmission, we can fix that. Engine, hopefully it doesn't have any holes in it. Minutes later, I pulled this cover underneath the steering wheel just because I was trying to figure out the level of a line. Now if I look on the passenger side, the line goes like this, right below this console, which kind of falls right in the middle of this, maybe a little less. So I was trying to figure out a possible like level line, and then as you can see, I pulled this plug, has a little bit of a deoxidation, which is nothing crazy. And I tell you this because from experience, this would actually work. If you look at these prongs, they're all nice and clean. This is just from water not draining, and it's just pretty much drying like a dirty water. Now, I also pulled this plug, which is for cargo 115 volts outlet, and check this out. If I can get this off by one hand, clean as a whistle. Not even deoxidation on it, meaning the level was probably as high as this, and usually the wires that were connected to power or still had power to it at the end of like flooding, that's when they usually deoxidize because they dry up faster, versus the other ones. Let's pull this plug and see what this one is. This is the lowest spot. This is for like a light. If I could pop this open somehow with one hand, well, no, it's nearly impossible. So we'll just leave that at it. But this is normal for it to rust. This is very like sensitive to moisture trucks. I mean, even some of these trucks, if I was to pull on that truck that was never flooded, it would probably have the same thing on this side, so I'm not too worried about. Now, the transporter told me that the seat moves. He connected the power, he didn't try to start it because I guess he couldn't or whatever, but he was trying to move the seat backwards and it actually moved. So that's a great sign. That means all the motors underneath and everything is good, and that's a really, really cool thing. Now, the most expensive thing out of all of this would be the engine, and as much as I try to circle around it, I have to come back to the engine. As far as the engine, I need to turn the engine over by hand manually at least once on one rotation, just to get any potential water in the cylinders from locking up, hydrolocking, if it hasn't been already hydrolocked. We don't know that. Now, another thing that I will do, I pull this relay for the starter. I pull the cover off of it, and what I could do, these batteries are shot, they're dead. I could put a jump box that's not strong enough to turn the engine over fast enough, and likely with a small or weak jump box, I could probably try to see if I could slowly turn the engine over with the just relay. Now, there is also a possibility that the starter or even this thing could be all damaged. So if it doesn't click, that's probably a starter. But also, we might want to crawl underneath and see if we can get this engine to turn over manually. With this cover off, we can see a torque converter, we see plate, and we don't see rust or anything like that. So that's a really actually good thing. Now I got a screwdriver. I was thinking of just prying up over here and see what happens. If this thing turns over with the screwdriver, we're good. Well, let me get a better spot. Maybe get a pry bar right here. There we go. This is about 1.5 feet long pry bar, so it shouldn't be that excessive of a force. Let's see. Moment of truth. Look at that. It turns over. You guys see that? Wow. This is amazing. This is good. I'm gonna turn the whole engine over a couple times. I'm gonna make a mark right here, or at least maybe I just go by this mark and do 180 of the engine just to make sure there's no water in the cylinders. And after this, I'm probably gonna take the starter off, clean it, change it maybe if needed, or at least test it. Now let's talk about starter. So this is a different engine, same engine as on this truck, and this is where the starter is located. This is where transmission is, and this is where the starter is. I gotta pull this cable off, which is 15 millimeter, and on the newer Cummins you have to pull this brace off. So basically a few 15 millimeter bolts to get this brace off. Once you get the brace off, you get to that bolt, which is 13 millimeter, and you screw this, and this, which seems very easy on this truck, but when it's in the frame, that's a little more difficult. This one you just pretty much have to guess where it is because you can't really see it. But it's pretty easy, it's pretty simple, and the great thing about it, I have a different starter that I could pop into that truck. While at it, I put the batteries on charge, so they are charging and they are disconnected from the truck. So once it comes time to turn this engine over with the starter, we have some juice in the batteries to slowly turn this engine over. Now with the starter removed and off the car or truck, I got my jump box connected to negative lead, and then this is to a positive, and this wire is the trigger wire basically. And every time you're supposed to bypass the thing, you're supposed to just do this, and instead of sparking, it's supposed to turn on the starter, but in our case it doesn't. So I have a different starter that I removed from a different truck, and I'm gonna do the same thing on this starter just to show you guys how it's done. Switch this over, switch this over to this, and then this trigger we'll just put on one of these leads like this, and technically it should fire up as soon as we touch that lead. Let's hear it. You guys hear it? There we go. This is how it's supposed to work. So that just confirms that insurance probably thought the engine is done, but in reality the starter is done. Now this starter could be still fixed. Don't put that, don't put it in the grave yet. All you have to do realistically is just take it apart, clean up the brushes that just got stuck with the water moisture, and this thing will run like nothing else, because nothing else is burned. As you can see over here, most of the times the leads will burn over here if they get too old or corroded, but this is a 2022 truck, so this starter is fine. But since I have another one, I'll just pop it on and try to turn this engine over with the starter. With the starter installed right on the engine bay right there, now I'm ready to basically turn the engine over with the weak power jump box and a small little booster, and that's intentional. I don't want batteries to be fully charged. I want them to be slightly charged. I want this engine to turn over very slowly. I don't want for these batteries to have enough juice where it could spin it so fast that it could bend the rod. And before we do that, I actually want to disconnect the boost, maybe one of these hoses or one of the intercooler hoses, and just to see if there's water inside. If there's water inside, just drain it. Basically, we don't want the water that could be inside the turbocharged system to get pulled in back into the engine. Now we're not turning this engine over like with the ignition. We're not starting it. We're basically only bypassing to a point where the starter only turns on, and then at that point the engine is just gonna spin. It's not gonna spray any fuel. It's not gonna do any of the starting procedure. Just turn over. Oh, we got water coming out. Oh, dang. Well, that's not really a pleasant sight to see, but that's a good thing that we got this water out. Look at this, straight from the intercooler. Well, at least we know it was there. And now for the moment of truth. Just trying to turn this thing over, and hopefully whenever it gets to compression stroke on each cylinder, it won't have much of a turning speed. Let's give it a try. Okay, so it's clicking. It turned over a little and then it stopped. That's good. There we go. This is exactly what we want. So let's keep going. Let's charge these batteries a little more, about halfway, and then slowly trying to turn this thing over full rotations and get all the water and moisture out of the cylinders without us having to pull injectors out. Later on, we decided to loosen up an exhaust just to see what's gonna happen. Well, we got water coming out, and that's a good sign. That means the water's not gonna stay inside. And we also made a progress as far as turning the engine over. So let me show you guys. Connect the jump box. Connected. No, didn't connect the other jump box. Just charge the batteries, and then check this out. Check this out. Engine turns over. That means the water is coming out through exhaust. This is what we got going on there. That's a good and bad news again. Now that we got the engine turned over, and actually steps came to life, a lot of things inside also came to life because we connected the batteries. And I think if I turn on ignition, look at this, actually showing up everything. Let's see if this thing powers up. Well, the ignition is not on, but I think we could probably try to attempt to start this thing. Now, I don't want to do that until I drain all the diesel and fluids, but look at this. Look at this, everything comes alive. So this is what I meant. This is nothing scary, this is nothing outrageous, but we definitely don't want water that's in the tank to get into a fuel system if it hasn't already. So we're gonna probably just drain the tank, make sure there's no water in the tank or in the diesel, and after that probably change filters before we attempt to start this thing, if it does start. And while at it, we also will check the plugs for the ECU, for body control modules, and all the other plugs, just to make sure you know, there's no corrosion of water. They should be all water sealed, but you never know. You never know. With the oil pan removed for the transmission, we could see that the water has been in transmission, but the great news is the truck hasn't been running, because if it has, the oil wouldn't be all red as it is. It would be more of a strawberry cream type of thing. It would be a lot lighter. So that means the water got in it and only stayed in the pan, just drained to the pan and stayed at the bottom of the pan. And once we drained it, all the water came out, so that's great. If we ever started this thing and it ran for 5 minutes or a few minutes with this, it wouldn't kill transmission right away, but it would have mixed all the water with the oil that's in the torque converter and all that. So that's a great news. Another great news is that I drained some of the diesel and I don't see any water contamination. I see some dirt, but that's just from a dirty bucket and me disconnecting the lines. I'm gonna drain all the fuel out just to make sure, put new diesel in it, put new filters in it underneath over here and underneath the water separator. And after this, if all electronics are gonna be all good, then we could probably attempt to start it. Ew. Now there's oil. Oh my goodness. And this is not all of it. Yeah, we're draining all of it. Yeah. Let's drain some more, or just leave it like this. Leave it like this. Let the water drain. Oh my goodness, this is oil and water. Yeah, we need to drain all of it. We need to drain all of it. And forget. Sheesh. Now it's clean oil, isn't it? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Now, after changing transmission fluid, draining down the engine oil, draining out intercooler, and pretty much everything that has to do with the powertrain. Transmission, engine oil, pull that off, change all the fuel filters, put some new fuel inside, and I think if we were to attempt to start this thing, I think we'll probably be okay. So that's probably what we're gonna do. We're gonna start it for maybe 10-15 seconds. We're probably gonna have to run this thing for a little while just to get the prime in, because the whole system is empty. But everything comes on, and all pumps are kicking in, and I'm pretty sure we can get this thing started in minutes. Let me prime this stick a couple times and then see if we can get it started. Let's go! Let's go! Probably want to shut it off, but man, we got this thing fired up. Let's go! Yeah, we want to check all the fluids now. We want to probably just look over everything, and maybe if all good and everything, we can fire it up again. It will run rough for the first 10 minutes probably. It will need time to clear up all the exhaust and everything, but man, I'm excited. Let's keep going. Alright, so interior is getting put together slowly by slowly. So we got the modules over here that we don't want to put on yet. We want to connect the seats first and everything else, and then pop the module in, test all the airbag system, make sure everything is good before we finally assemble everything. And that being said, we got a seat right here that we're just gonna go through, and we're just gonna see, make sure all the plugs and everything are solid, like make sure there's no corrosion. They look immaculate and clean, but just to make sure, you know, we gotta check those plugs. And while at it, I'll change the oil on the truck. We got Rotella right here, and we'll just change the oil. We turn the engine over, we started, so we're good to go as far as changing oil and getting this thing started and running. And this is why we disconnect an intercooler pipe when we start off the truck. Sheesh. Give it a little more. Hey, hey! So, now that we're done with the engine oil changed, I found out there's a new trick online. So basically you just gotta do this. You gotta, I'll zoom in on my finger. You just gotta do this a couple times and the interior should change. So like I'm gonna try to do this. Like you see, it's all disassembled right now, right? Show them it's all disassembled. Like it's pretty disassembled, and the console is still all disconnected. So I'm gonna do this, like zoom in so they can see the difference. Okay, come on. And just like this, with a simple trick, this truck came out to be all detailed and finished, as you guys can see. It runs really good. Even got the door painted. All the little blemishes that we had, they're all gone now. That's how great the technology is these days. But anyways, this truck is all done and clean. It drives really nice and it drives amazing. It exceeded my expectations. This project came out to be a lot easier and a lot smoother than we thought it would be. But thanks for watching. Until the next one. Come here. Boom.